So that's the ingredients of part of our waffles that we're eating today. I'll talk about that. And there's the waffle. Oh, and there's our tomatoes. The first ripe tomatoes from my peat bale row. And I'm going to be talking about John Saul the Presents. I'm giving that one a review today. So, we should have had breakfast a little earlier so that we could avoid, because we know that they start working.
Yeah, it's about 9:40 or something.
They started around 9:30, I think. But anyway.
Yeah, oh well.
I didn't get it done in time. And I was really tired because I'm taking care of Cecil, and he needs a lot of human touch. Well, what he would really need is his mama's and his siblings' touch. But come on, Cecil.
Yeah, they say a brood of them could be like 6 or 7. If we've got it right, that he is.
Well, if you get it right, I think he's a woodpecker. I know. But we're gonna wait a minute, so I'm just gonna keep you covered up so you can stay warm. I know. He's chatting. Anyway. It's funny, you know, the back of the box there, or the back, sorry, I'm really tired. The back of the book has blurbs, a suspenseful thriller, provocative, nicely done indeed, you know, and whatever, and it's like, wow, I don't think these people read the book at all. And I read the blurbs and things, and I'm like, why is it even there? I mean, people get paid to write these blurbs, like.
I love reading them. They're so
generalized and whatever.
It's just full of adjectives, adjective laden.
Yeah. Anyway, so the book was boring. It was so boring. It was not suspenseful. It was not a thriller. And I mean, you expect some horror or whatever from John Saul, but it wasn't even really. It was just, yeah. You know what's really frightening? The ingredients in packaged food. That's frightening. This is not frightening. So anyway, we're eating today waffles. Ours are mostly rye flour, and I put a little bit of the muffin mix, which it says on there that it's no trans fats and whatever, right? And you read the ingredients, and there's soybean oil in there. So what's going to happen when that heats up? So even if it's not in there right now, you know that because that ingredient's in there, you're not going to eat it cold, like raw. You're going to eat it. You're going to cook the stuff. And anyway, whatever. And another thing that I wanted to, I'm very tired, so this may not work out well today. Waffles. When you're a teen, or you're going out on your own as a young adult, and you're like, I'm gonna make waffles, and you've already made pancakes. You figure, oh well, this is like pancakes, I just stick it in the waffle iron. And then you're pulling it apart. You see here how it was hard for me to get them off the grill. Even using the coconut oil, like I put the coconut oil, I keep a chunk of cold stuff in the fridge so that it's solid, and I use that to rub the iron with before but still, it sticks. It's a lovely color. The waffles turn out a lovely color when you put a little bit of the bran mix, and you're like, oh, well, that's the bran. No, that's the caramelized sugar, because there's sugar cane. There's a little insect. I might eat it. There's sugar cane in there, and it caramelizes on the grill. And because there's sugar in there, if you make a pancake waffle iron, well, you're going to end up with some waffle that's stuck to the grill, stuck to the iron. So that's not how you make waffles. You don't add sugar. Waffles are potentially much healthier than pancakes, especially since now I remember this year we're using fertilizer for the tomatoes instead of compost because I've been exhausted and I just don't care. Well, not as much as usual. So I remember I was talking to a guy about how to grow tomatoes and talking about the composting and stuff, and then, you know, I'd given him some seeds and he was growing some of the tomatoes, and he's like, you know, they weren't growing, and then I used fertilizer. And he's telling me this is like he's trying to educate me on fertilizer. And said, yeah, I studied horticulture, and wow, I don't know about fertilizer. Tell me more. You know, like, but anyway, people are kind of like that. And when a young adult goes out on their own, well, they're pretty arrogant too. And you know, and a lot of the time people don't really, they don't get an understanding of their level of education compared to other people's. And anyway, whatever, they do their own thing, and they, so I don't know where I was going with that, so I'll go on to the cake mix. So with pancakes, I thought I was really smart when I was a young adult, and I'm like, pancakes? I'm gonna use cake batter, like the stuff in the box, right? And you feel like such a princess when you have these pancakes that, especially if you pick, I can't remember what the flavor is called, it's probably like vanilla cake or something with the sprinkles in it. So you get these like multicolors in your pancakes, and then you can top it up with some raspberries or whatever.
Pretty
like,
fancy.
Yeah, it feels totally, you feel like such a princess when you're eating that. And you think you're pretty smart because, you know, all these other fools, they were making their own pancake mix, and here I can buy it out of the box. Just, that makes it even easier, right? And a lot of people they buy pancake mix out of a box that's like, it doesn't even taste good. Why not use the cake batter, right? And so anyway, I thought I was really smart about that. But, you know, okay, I gotta feed the baby. He's getting really mad. He's like,
he
that's
knows
it.
The drill.
Yeah, okay.
There we go.
Did you see that? It was pretty cute. I like it when he goes, and he grabs the thing. He's like, I really want this. Whoa. I know. You got a few bubbles there, mister.
Take your time.
So, anyway, John Saul's book. God.
That's not John Ralston Saul. You'll be getting a bad review of a John Ralston Saul book from me eventually, but it's a horror story of a different sort.
But anyway, so his book, God, I got to, I think it was page 280 or something like that before I even got remotely interested in the story.
Wow.
Like, that's way too long in. Like,
that's more than halfway. It's
terrible.
Got to be like 2/3 of the way or so.
And then, by then you're like, okay, maybe this is going to go somewhere. And it really doesn't. You know, you don't get any idea of why these mad scientists or whatever are trying to get people to breathe ammonia or whatever fumes. Like, it's just kind of retarded. I don't recommend anybody read the book.
It's exactly 2/3 of the way through. 420
so
pages,
bad.
and she said 280 in. So, yeah.
It's so. Oh, sorry, buddy. He's still talking. Yeah, I know. Well, I gotta get it there. Okay. So I made waffles for the dogs today in the big stack.
Wow.
And that is about half and half that bran muffin mix and chickpea flour. So at least there's chickpea flour in there for them. But yeah, I was in a hurry trying to pick out my pick 10 yesterday for from the Salvation Army. Hi, little buddy. Yeah, I know, I'm taking forever, aren't I? I'm a terrible... There you go, little guy. But yeah, they have a nice golden color and stuff like that. And there's a couple of... Oh boy, that one's really persistent.
Yeah.
There's a couple on the top that held together. But that's... Yeah, anyway. Flies. And the wasp this time of year. It's terrible. It's really, it makes it hard to be out
They get
having
more and more persistent. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, somebody asked me how my tomatoes were doing. I'm like, good, and they asked me how many I had, and I was like, well, this year, you know, like I probably, by the time it was May long weekend ready to plant out, I had 500 plants ready to go, and I was like, what am I going to do with these? Plant them in ditches or what? And so we were taking over James's whole backyard, putting these things in, and
they're close to 120 in my backyard.
Yeah, I killed quite a few putting them in because it took me a long time to figure it out. Like I remember in studying horticulture, I think it was my weeds instructor, and she was really a good instructor. I think Bubar was her last name. Anyway, she was great, but I think she was the one who told me about, or told the class about allelopathy in quackgrass. And at the time I was thinking, I don't really believe that, because I've seen quackgrass and then there's a dandelion growing right beside it and something else. So obviously it can't be that allelopathic. Well, we found out this year.
With
yes,
things that aren't so native around here?
Yeah.
Oh,
well, I don't know. Like the quackgrass, I mean, it was basically a quackgrass lawn, that side of where we were deciding to take over the lawn.
Patches in my backyard. Patches were just, I'd had
and so,
stems.
yeah, well, the tomatoes did fine where the tarps were.
Yeah.
It was where the quackgrass lawn was. So this full-grown established quackgrass, and the tomatoes didn't send. I even tried like my biggest tomatoes, putting them in there, no dice.
Yeah.
But so he only has like the first
just
couple
a
rows.
wasteland.
Yeah, it didn't work out, and so he ends up with 100 plants or whatever.
About 120.
Yeah.
But there could have been.
Well, there could have been more, but who cares? And we'll have enough. But anyway,
maybe
so
30 more or something like that.
Okay, now I got egg all over you. I keep getting egg on this kid. Okay. Just gonna wipe that there. Oh, sorry, little buddy. There we go. I'm doing a terrible job, aren't I? There we go. Gotta help you balance up. It's hard for him to hang on to my leg. He wants to hang on to a finger or Velcro on my clothing here, but the leg doesn't seem to work. Well, it's that this is not attached to me, so it slides. I think that's it. I don't know what I was talking about there.
Allelopathy.
Oh, yeah.
Tomatoes and quackgrass.
Oh, yeah. But
That's
anyway,
nasty stuff.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
But James's yard, he has a great tomato crop this year. So, yeah,
almost all of the ones that finally caught hold
saw were asking me, like, I'd known them from before, just casually, acquaintance, you know, I don't really know them. We go to get free food to the same place. Hey, little buddy, you want some of this? Well, you should have some water. You don't want water. No, no water. Okay. So, yeah, the one woman was asking me, well, we were talking about COVID and stuff, and she was a teacher, and she doesn't know nearly as much as she thinks she does about things, but she's...
That applies,
Anyway,
unfortunately, to
You know, that's
more than one
a
teacher.
lot of people.
They get used to teaching middle school kids or
Yeah.
high school kids, and they treat everyone like kids. You know, they just know more than you do. And
Yeah.
when you start doing that with Pauline and me, you are really out of line.
Oh, come on. So, anyway, she's... There we go. You sit there. So, anyway, she's... Okay. You gotta stop moving. Just stay right there. Because when you move, you fall off. So, anyway, so she's... We're talking about COVID and stuff, and she's not wearing a mask. She's fully vaccinated, right? So she... And I'm... Like, I've tried to say, well, even with the Pfizer, the best, presumably, vaccine that we
Pfizer
have,
and Moderna.
you're only 60-some% protected against the Delta. And who knows with the other ones that are coming up, right?
There's bound to be more and more.
And more. I know. But anyway, she, we were talking, and she said, oh, I was saying something about, with the triage, I mean, there'd be exceptions. Because if you're, anyway,
If you can't take the
yeah, if you can't take the vaccine, and if you, say you have, even if you've willingly chosen not to take the vaccine, and you're out on a farm, and then you have a heart attack or something, and you get in to get some medical attention, and you end up getting COVID, well, you should get attention for COVID.
Yeah.
You should get treatment. But if you're one of these total jackasses,
that's total.
That's decided, I'm not going to get vaccinated, and I'm going to have a maskless rodeo.
Yeah.
You know, you should be at the bottom of the triage list because frankly, the doctors were here in Alberta, they were talking about how they were going to have to do triage in this spring. I don't expect that they're going to have to do it next spring around the same time or whatever, right? Like, because
hard to say what's going to happen.
Honey, just stay upright.
They've had to do it, I believe, in Ontario and Quebec.
Just stay right like
times. I don't know what apparently they've been doing. It's not their fault. It's singling out, for lack of treatment, people who are older.
Yeah.
Or
and how fair is that?
Sicker from other things, who have comorbidities.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's really not fair.
No.
If there are better ways, particularly if there are better ways of assessing who should get treatment and who shouldn't. If you've been engaging in risky behavior, i.e., you know, like it's documented, you're not going around wearing masks. That's where the police should be not necessarily apprehending people, but drawing them aside. Hey, you're not wearing a mask, eh?
Or you're going on trips, you know, places. Well, you're putting yourself and everyone else more at risk. But anyway.
But what I was going to say about the police is they should not apprehend the people, but just stop, have a little chat. What's your name? Let's see your driver's license. Thank you. you are now at the bottom of a list.
Of the triage list.
Of a triage.
Yeah. Because frankly, like, so I said that, and she said, "You're like Hitler." And I'm like,
no.
The people are, when you have triage, somebody's gonna die. You know, like, how am I like Hitler? I'm not setting them up to die.
Nope.
I'm not picking out people to die. Triage, that's what happens. So somebody is not gonna...
Somebody has to die.
Yeah.
And the people who die should be the ones who are most guilty. If someone's walking around without a mask, someone's not maintaining social distancing, it's their responsibility for having caught the thing.
And
Therefore,
so she said, well, if you have your vaccination, you're gonna live, when you receive treatment or whatever, you're gonna live through it. And it's like, wow, I'm listening to her. She's a senior citizen who's had a stroke, and she would be at the bottom of, she would be on the triage list for not getting it. You know, if she, and she has no clue. There's been,
she hasn't done the research.
There's been seniors recently who have died after getting both the vaccine and the booster, and they're dead from COVID. And this is just...
There's no guarantee. Even with the regular COVID, with Pfizer and Moderna, apparently it was 95% success rate. You wouldn't get it. Now, that's not necessarily a 5% failure rate in the sense that you're going to die, but if you got comorbidities, it could happen. So, yeah. So, Pauline and I think we devised this separately, independently. You know, like, we were hearing about the triage, and it just was obvious. You know, going, how, you know, how, CBC, how do we determine who goes to the bottom of the list? Well, you know, like, right at the bottom of the list should have been, apparently he was in a little bit of trouble. He shouldn't have survived. He was in England when he got it. He was on a ventilator. He should have been at the bottom of the bottom of the bottom of the list. That stupid, useless puke. I was on a ventilator.
Yeah. So anyway, apparently I'm like Hitler. That's interesting.
Well, I'm so patient. You know, when I have something to say that's reasonable and people start straw manning me, again, they're saying the rudest things to me, and I try to reason with them rationally. I should just unload on them like a ton of bricks, like a ton of pyramid-sized masonry. I'm talking about the kind of masonry that went into the Great Pyramids of Giza and Cairo, Egypt. But yeah, that's not what it's about nowadays. And I'm telling you now that the worst people for doing that kind of stuff are so-called liberals, or so-called left-wingers, or so-called enlightened folk from university and stuff like that. They're the worst. I can talk to globalist capitalist supporters. I can kind of talk to populists. I'm a little bit afraid if they're wearing camouflage, which is just the opposite of camouflage. In the city, they're strutting around. Hey, I'm a militia type. Watch me now, I'm camouflaged. I'm a little scared of them. But actually, I was watching I wasn't participating in an anti-masking demonstration in Lethbridge, and I'm telling you, the only person who treated me with disrespect was a lefty. I think he's still a lefty. I don't know. He's into conspiracy theories. He's a truther and stuff like that. The rest of them treated me with respect. I wasn't asking them tough questions or anything like that. I was only asking questions. I was not telling them to do this, that, or the other thing. But this guy who decided to get into my face, figuratively, thank heavens, because he wasn't wearing a mask. I was trying to maintain social distancing. Was this one truther, left-winger, who's also an anti-masker and anti-vaxxer. I think he's an anti-vaxxer. Definitely an anti-masker. So there's just a lot of virtuous vice out there coming off the left wing. They just are so virtuous. Doing all this virtue. I don't call it signaling. No way I'd accuse you of virtue signaling, you faux gauches out there. You do virtue semaphoring. Signaling is kind of like this. Semaphoring is, you know, signaling from one hillside to another. Look at me. I'm virtuous. I'm a fake left-winger. And all you people out there that disagree with me in ever so slightly, you're all racist. All racist.
Anyway.
A little hard to do that with me when I'm such a mixture of races, but they do it.
With any kind of mix, you don't want to buy pre-made muffin mix or cake mix or pancake mix or any of that. That stuff is easy to make. Find a recipe. It'll be healthier. Well, not every recipe is going to be healthier, but almost. And, I mean, I remember when I was young, and I'd think, oh, I want to be a bit healthier, because I've been eating nothing but pancakes made with those wonderful cake mix with the candy sprinkles in. It's so pretty. So I'll eat a bran muffin for breakfast or whatever, and that's not healthy either. It's just not. It's not healthy. Healthy and fun. So, yeah.
So you ready for another review?
Yeah.
Check this out. These compliments of the Lethbridge Library.
They
Withdrawn.
Yeah.
I didn't steal it or anything like that. Although I almost feel as though I did. A Dictionary of Muslim Names by Salahuddin Ahmed. So this should be at the library. Why wouldn't this be at the library?
They threw out a whole ton of books.
You talk to someone who comes from a Muslim background, and they love it when you say, hey, your name means this, that, or the other thing.